Let's jump right in. Today we're looking at a transcript of a YouTube interview. Candace Owens is a narcissistic cult leader with host Tanashi Peter and guest Amelia Carter.
Let's jump right in.
So a key theme, for me at least, is this pretty significant misalignment between the title, which is very provocative, and the actual pacing of the content.
That is the first thing that jumps out. You see a title like Narcissistic Cult Leader, and you expect, immediate conflict, high drama.
Right. A psychological breakdown.
But the material, it suffers from what you could call excessive front-loading of all this biographical backstory.
Exactly. And that's the weakness. The interview just prioritizes this very linear timeline of the guest's life over the core promise of the title. We spend, the first 15 minutes hearing about her childhood in Philadelphia, Hampshire College, her lesbian activism.
All the social justice stuff.
Yeah, and look, it does establish her credibility. It shows where she's coming from.
But it risks losing the listener. I mean, we're in an attention economy. If I click for a cult leader, I want to hear about the cult.
You're not going to wait around through 10 minutes of mixed-race identity crisis talk. You might just assume it's clickbait and leave.
And the content is there, it's just buried.
It's completely buried. So the suggestion then has to be to, invert the structure.
Or use a cold open. You have to hook the audience immediately with the strongest claim.
So you could take that pitbull analogy she uses much later on.
Oh, that's perfect. It's so visceral. She talks about narcissistic abuse, feeling like you're being mauled by a pit bull that just won't let go.
It's a powerful image. It immediately makes the word cult feel like a physical threat, not just a social club.
Exact. So our suggestion is to move that right to the front. Imagine starting the piece 0 seconds in with her saying, "It feels like a pit bull has locked its jaw on you."
And then she could go right into that specific story about her friend Erica Kirk yelling, "Stop!" and Candace Owens just refusing to listen.
Yes, that sets the stakes.
And then once the audience is hooked, once they're asking, how did she get into this mess? Then you've earned the right to go back.
Then you can fill in the details about Philadelphia and Hampshire College. You've bought their page.
There's another piece that felt really out of place to me structurally, the 990 form investigation.
Right, yeah.
It just kind of pops up in the middle of the conversation. She mentions digging into the Black Lives Matter tax forms.
But think about what that anecdote actually does for her character.
It proves she's competent.
It proves she isn't just another influencer with an opinion. She's someone who knows how to pull federal tax documents and find discrepancy.
It gives her authority.
Huge authority.
But by leaving it in the middle, you make the audience wait 20 minutes wondering if this guest is actually smart.
Right.
So if you move that 990 story to the front, maybe right after that cold open, you immediately signal, pay attention, this person is an investigator.
And that changes how you hear everything else that follows.
Okay, let's move on to the second major point, contextual accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue just relies so heavily on this assumed knowledge of, niche internet subcultures. It could really alienate a listener who isn't.
Terminally online.
Exactly.
And that's a critical weakness. They use all this unexplained shorthand, referencing specific influencer drama. They're trading names like Macronon, Andrew Tate, Charlie Kirk.
And they assume the listener has the exact same algorithm they do. It creates this clubhouse feel where if you're not already in the know, you're lost.
And is the connection even clear? I mean, take the timeline discussion. They're trying to pinpoint when the guest's disillusionment started.
Yeah, they get all muddled up.
They confuse the assassination attempt on Donald Trump in July with Charlie Kirk's death later in the year. September, July, it's all over the place.
And for a casual listener, okay, maybe that doesn't matter.
But if you're trying to follow the logic of when did she leave the cult, that confusion is fatal. It makes you pause and fact-check them.
And the minute your listener has to fact-check you, you've lost your authority.
You've lost them. So the suggestion is pretty straightforward. Have to use expository bridges.
Or just little context corners. The host needs to be the one to pause the flow and just briefly explain the stakes of a reference.
Take the Macronon reference. They just breeze past it like it's an inside joke.
Which it is for them.
But a stronger interview would just take 5 seconds to say, for those who don't know, this refers to a conspiracy theory about Brigitte Macron that Candace was promoting.
And suddenly the joke lands for everybody, and the point about her judgment is made.
Exact. Or look at the Andrew Tate defense. The guest says Candace defends rapists and human traffickers. That is a massive accusation.
And they just nod and move on.
Right. You need that bridge. Briefly summarize what she said. Did she say he was innocent? Did she say the Matrix was attacking him? Ground the argument in specifics.
I want to circle back to the 990 reference on this point, too. We talked about it for structure, but it's an accessibility issue as well.
Oh, for sure. It's prime inside baseball.
The transcript just says something like that 990, which isn't that big of a deal to get.
And the average listener is thinking, okay, so she got a piece of paper, so what?
The host needs to clarify why it's a big deal. Something like, this is a public document that showed where millions of dollars in donations went, and no one else in that space was looking at it.
That bridge explains the magnitude. It takes 10 seconds and makes the guest's work mean something to everyone.
Let's shift to our third critique, which is about how they operationalize psychological terms. The analysis is strong, but the application of these really heavy labels often lacks that immediate behavioral evidence.
This is the label first, evidence later problem. They use terms like narcissistic abuse, flying monkeys, love bombing.
And they use them like conclusions, not like investigative tools.
And the weakness there is that it creates an echo chamber. The host and guest agree on these terms instantly, which I'm sure feels validating for them, but it's not persuasive to a skeptic.
Right. I'm thinking of when they bring up Brandon Tatum as a flying monkey. They just label him.
They do. And if I'm a listener who respects Brandon Tatum, I'm immediately on the defensive. I haven't been shown why that label fits. I've just been told it does.
So the suggestion here is to flip that around, to go behavior first, diagnosis second.
Exactly. Ask for the action. Describe the specific thing that he did. Did he attack the guest online on Candace's behalf? Did he spread a rumor?
Describe the action in high fidelity.
Yeah. And then, once that behavior's on the table for everyone to see, you can say, in psychology, that's what's known as a flying monkey.
It validates the term. It's the period at the end of the sentence, not the headline.
Let's look at the part about enmeshment. The host just says, oh, that's enmeshment. But we need the scene.
We do.
The source material says she brought him right into the family. So paint that picture. She invited a near stranger to a private family gathering almost immediately.
She created this false sense of intimacy before they even knew each other.
Now that's a behavioral red flag.
You highlighted the stop command discussion in the notes, and I think that's the absolute centerpiece here.
It's the gem of the whole transcript, and they almost bury it. The guest points out that a narcissist views the word stop as a boundary to be overcome, not respected.
Which is a brilliant, terrifying insight.
But in the transcript, it's just kind of lost in this academic list from the BITE model. Behavior control, information control.
It gets too abstract.
It does. The suggestion is to center that entire segment around the Erica Kirk incident. Don't just list behavior control. Describe the moment Erica said stop. Describe Candace's smirk, her refusal to honor the word.
That one specific violation is the strongest evidence of the cult dynamic in the whole piece.
And the same thing applies when they compare the leftist cult to the right-wing cult. The parallel is there, but they just expect the audience to get it.
So they need to draw a more concrete comparison. The guest talks about the white devil narrative from her youth, how the left used social pressure on her.
Right, so the host should have prompted her to map that directly onto what happened on the right. Show the symmetry.
So something like,
Exactly. On the left, they called my dad a white devil to keep me in line. On the right, Candace called Jordan Peterson a drug addict to keep her followers in line. Show that the mechanism, shame, ostracization, is identical.
let's move to the fourth area, the role of the interviewer and tone management. The rapport is warm, but I think it occasionally undermines the objective rigor you need for accusations this serious.
This is such a common trap in podcasts. The weakness is that the interviewer tends to validate more than investigate.
We hear a lot of that's good. Absolutely. I assume you're not bought by a foreign government.
It becomes collaborative storytelling, not a journalistic extraction of truth, and it just lowers the tension. It feels more like friends chatting than a real breakdown of a political movement.
So the suggestion is for the interviewer to adopt more of a proxy skeptic persona.
You have to ask the hard questions the audiences think, even if you personally agree with the guest.
I'm thinking of that moment when the host says, I want a smoothest possible reintroduction to Candace.
That's such a telling line. It signals a desire to direct the narrative, not discover it. A stronger question would be, you said you ignored her for years. What was the specific moment that made you pay attention again?
Let the guest reveal the jagged edges. Don't smooth it out for her.
And the bot discussion. This was a major missed opportunity. The guest claims negative comments might be bots because they're shallow.
And the host just accepts it. Yeah, bots.
A critic listening to that is just rolling their eyes. A stronger interviewer pushes back. What if they aren't bots? What if these are real people who feel genuinely betrayed by you? What is their actual grievance?
It's steel manning the opposition.
Exactly. If you could dismantle their strongest argument, that they're hurt fans, not robots, your case actually becomes stronger. But just dismissing them as bots feels like a cop-out.
And finally, we have to talk about the outro. That tonal shift is jarring.
The buy me a coffee moment. Oh boy.
They've just had this incredibly heavy discussion about spiritual deficits, worship, the dangers of idolatry.
And then without taking a single breath, the host pivots to click the button to buy me a coffee.
It's a total tonal crash. You're talking about high-level spiritual corruption and then immediately asked for money. It just weakens the moral high ground they spent an hour building.
The suggestion isn't that they shouldn't monetize. Of course they should. But there needs to be a separation of church and state, so to speak.
A buffer.
Summarize the weight of the conversation, sign off, then do the housekeep, or at least weave it in more natural if you want to support independent truth-seeking. Something like
Okay, let's zoom out. The so what of all this is that the material has these incredible raw insights. The pitbull analogy, the boundary violations, these are diamonds.
but they're wrapped in a lot of biographical padding and insider jargon. The content is there, but the delivery vehicle needs a serious tune-up to reach anyone outside its bubble.
So let's wrap this with a concrete action plan for the listener.
Let's do it.
Action item 1, invert the pyramid. You have a headline about a cult leader, deliver on it in the first minute.
Start with the mauling. Start with the pitbull. Move the guest's biography to the middle. Do not make us wait 10 minutes to hear the name Candace Owens.
Action item 2, bridge the gap. Stop assuming your audience knows the daily Twitter drama.
Use those context corners. If you say macronome or 990, take 10 seconds and explain it. Don't make the listener fact-check you. They won't. They'll just leave.
Action item 3, show, don't tell. This is so crucial for the psychological claims.
Lead with the behavior, not the label. Describe the smirk. Describe the refusal to stop. Let the audience conclude, wow, that's narcissistic on their own. It makes the argument irrefutable.
And finally, action item 4, challenge to validate. The interviewer needs to be a proxy for the skeptic in the audience.
Stop agreeing so much. Push back. Ask, are they really bots? By asking the hard questions, you let the guest prove her point, and the whole thing becomes infinitely more robust.
And on the outro, just smooth out that transition. Don't jump from God to Cash App in one breath. Respect the gravity of your own work.
It preserves the dignity of the discussion.
This submission has the potential to be a really definitive piece on this subject if the structure is tightened and the jargon is bridged. We would love to see a recut.
Absolutely. Take the scissors to that first 10 minutes, move the investigation to the top, and send it back to us.
That's it for this critique. To our listener, refine that edit, tighten the flow, and submit the new version for a second look.
We can't wait to see it.
Until next time.